To Live from Seoul, I'm Shin Se-min. Before we get started, these are the stories topping the hour. South Korea has logged more than 5,000 confirmed coronavirus cases since the outbreak began some 6 weeks ago. With COVID-19 cases sprouting up by the day, some 92 countries and regions have now banned incoming travelers from South Korea. Scrapping most face mask exports and calling for production lines to run through the weekend, South Korea's ruling party, government officials, and the top office are all hands on deck to make sure the public can get hold of face masks. The U.S. Federal Reserve cuts interest rates by half a percentage point in a desperate bid to shield the U.S. economy from damage from the coronavirus. And Wall Street takes a hit, with all three major indices ending down near 3%. We start this morning with the latest on the coronavirus outbreak gripping here, South Korea. Another death was added to the toll, and the number of confirmed patients with COVID-19 also shot up. For more, we connect live to our Kim Bo-kyung, who is on the line for us. So, Bo-kyung, while we wait for the government's official tally of the numbers, do fill us in on the updates.
Sure. As you said, we are moments from learning the latest figure on the confirmed cases and death toll this morning. But overnight, another death was reported, bringing the total death toll in Daegu alone on Tuesday single day at 4, and the total death toll in South Korea to 32. A 78-year-old patient is known to have died in Daegu-located hospital on Tuesday afternoon. This patient was reportedly getting ready to be hospitalized after being confirmed with the virus on the same day early morning. Although the patient received CPR while being transferred to the hospital, this person has reportedly died within 1 hour after arriving hospital. Meanwhile, according to Central Disease Control Headquarters on Tuesday, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases stands at 5,186 as of Tuesday 4 p.m. This is an increase of 374 patients since Tuesday midnight. The locations of the newly confirmed cases on Tuesday afternoon are as yet unknown, but most of the patients confirmed on Tuesday morning were concentrated in Daegu with over 3,600 cases in total, and Gyeongsang-buk-do province with more than 685 in total.
So, Bo-kyung, this situation rumbles on in South Korea. The number of countries restricting entry to people traveling from South Korea has also been on the rise. Do we have any updates on the number of countries from the Foreign Ministry?
Yes, according to South Korea's Foreign Ministry, as of 9 a.m. local time on Wednesday, 92 countries or regions within countries have either banned people coming in from South Korea or enhanced their entry procedures in light of the severity of the coronavirus outbreak here. 38 countries have now banned passengers from South Korea. Qatar is the latest, banning passengers who have visited South Korea within the past month. 23 countries, including several provinces of China, are either quarantining passengers or making them self-quarantine. 31 countries or regions, including Brunei, Darussalam, and Nepal, have enhanced their entry procedures. Several countries have even expanded their pre-existing entry procedures. India will make all visas previously issued invalid starting from Wednesday, and Singapore will ban passengers who have visited South Korea within 14 days from entering starting Thursday midnight. That's all from me. Back to you.
That was our Kim Bo-kyung with the latest updates on the nation's coronavirus outbreak. The novel coronavirus also continues to spread across the world. According to the World Health Organization, over 90,000 cases have been confirmed so far, and the death toll has reached 3,110. Iran's death toll has reached 77 with over 2,300 confirmed cases. And Iranian state media said Tuesday that nearly 10% of the country's lawmakers have been infected. Over in Italy, it has taken Iran with the most deaths outside of China, with the death toll there reaching 79 with just over 2,500 cases. And regarding concerns over Pope Francis and his coughing, the Vatican says he's tested negative for the virus and that he's suffering from the common cold. And the COVID-19 virus has also been spreading in the mainland U.S. A 9th death was reported Tuesday again in Washington state, where all the other deaths have occurred. In an attempt to protect the world's largest economy from the impact of the coronavirus outbreak, the Federal Reserve has cut its interest rate by 0.5 percentage point. Now, that cut, twice the size of the Fed's normal rate moves, is the first emergency cut since the 2008 global financial crisis. Our Kim Hyo-sun reports.
The U.S. Federal Reserve has slashed its interest rates by 0.5 percentage point to a target range of 1 to 1.25%. The decision was unanimous among policymakers. This is the first emergency rate cut since 2008 and comes amid increasing concerns over the COVID-19 outbreak.
Earlier today, the Federal Open Market Committee announced a 0.5 percentage point reduction in the target range for the federal funds rate, bringing that range to 1 to 1.25%. My colleagues and I took this action to help the U.S. economy keep strong in the face of new risks to the economic outlook. The fundamentals of the U.S. economy remain strong.
The Fed's decision to cut interest rates before its next scheduled policy meeting in mid-March reflects the urgency it's facing to prevent a global recession. In a news conference on Tuesday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell explained the COVID-19 outbreak would weigh on the American economy for some time.
The virus and the measures that are being taken to contain it will surely weigh on economic activity, both here and abroad, for some time. We are beginning to see the effects on the tourism and travel industries, and we are hearing concerns from industries that rely on global supply chains.
He also explained that the move is in line with measures being taken by central banks of other major economies, adding that he will be engaging in active discussions with the top finance authorities of other countries. Following the Fed's decision, President Trump took to Twitter to call on the central bank to cut even more. He also called for more monetary easing. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
As part of efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 here in South Korea, the ruling Democratic Party, government officials, and the top office have vowed to increase mask supply. In a meeting at the National Assembly this morning, former Prime Minister Lee Na-kyun, who leads the ruling party's coronavirus response team, said the three groups have agreed to secure the supply of masks by reducing exports and encouraging factories producing masks to operate through the weekend. The group also vowed to find ways to prevent hoarding and improve mask distribution so people don't have to wait in long queues. They also pledged to categorize infected patients based on their severity of their symptoms and organize treatment facilities along those lines. And the South Korean government is convening an additional cabinet meeting at this moment as we speak to vote on a massive supplementary budget plan aimed at countering the economic fallout caused by the coronavirus outbreak. The cabinet meeting, normally held every Tuesday and chaired by the president, will instead be chaired by Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun, connecting via video conference from the virus-stricken city of Daegu with officials in Seoul and Sejong government complex. The government's budget proposal is set at roughly $9.8 billion. The money would be used to support medical professionals with quarantine and examination equipment, financing for medical institutions' financial losses, and emergency funds for small businesses. After voting on the budget plan, the government will then send the bill to the National Assembly for a vote on its approval on Thursday. Some 200 designated health centers are set up across the country to test up to 15,000 people a day. And South Korea is going one step further by ramping up efforts to come up with innovative kits that will save time and improve accuracy. Our Lee Kyung-eun with this report.
Within 4 hours, you'll find out whether you have the virus or not. First, health workers take samples by swabbing your throat and nose. The samples are then sent to a lab where a technique called polymerase chain reaction, or PCR, is used to amplify a particular genetic sequence from the novel coronavirus. The gene amplification technique generates millions of copies of the genetic segment so that there is enough of it for doctors to diagnose the presence of COVID-19. It will show a positive result for asymptomatic patients as well. For the accuracy of those results, samples must be transported fast and be well protected.
The viruses in and of themselves, will stay around for a little period of time. And so One of the next steps is to put it into something that will isolate the genetic material of the virus. And that's actually very important because this genetic material is actually fairly sensitive to degradation.
Some cases of misdiagnosis have been reported in China due to contamination or destruction of samples. But even in optimal conditions, the results can be inaccurate. Especially at the early stages of infection, patients could have only a small amount of pathogens, and test kits may not be sensitive enough to detect the virus. That's why a patient is tested multiple times.
It takes the virus a little while to grow. We are often at what we call the limit of detection. And that will mean that sometimes there are false positives or false negatives if the level of virus is too low.
In South Korea, tests could be faster and more accurate thanks to this new test kit developed by a local company.
The new kit is more sensitive than previous ones, meaning it is able to detect the virus if smaller amounts are present, ranging between 10 and 50 pathogens, compared to the normal 50 to 100 pathogens. This helps us diagnose patients at the early stage of disease and treat them quickly.
Authorized by the government last Thursday, this test kit will be used starting this week, becoming one of the 4 types of tests available in the country. And as the company produces all the primary ingredients on its own, the supply of the test won't be affected by any external factors. 이경은, Arirang News.
Shifting focus, a senior official of North Korea's ruling party and the sister of the regime's leader has lashed out at Seoul for condemning the North's military drills earlier this week. According to Pyongyang's state-run media on Tuesday, Kim Yo-jong said in a statement that the drill, which the South Korean government described as not helpful for reducing tensions, was for self-defense. She also said Seoul has no right to criticize Pyongyang's weapons test, adding such incoherent actions only magnify the North's distrust and hatred of the Seoul. This was Kim Yo-jong's first ever statement to be issued under her name. A report released by the International Atomic Energy Agency on Tuesday shows Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium is more than 5 times the limit allowed under the country's 2015 nuclear deal with world powers. Now, the report said that as of February 19th, the stockpile stood at 1,510 kilograms, far higher than the 300-kilogram limit set under the agreement. Despite going over the limit, the report indicates Iran has not been enriching uranium over 4.5%. An enrichment level of about 90% is required for weapons use, and Iran denied the report, saying it will not recognize any allegations, nor will it respond to it.
Hello, I'm Lee Ji-yeon with the latest weather update. Those of you in the central and western regions need to prepare for a light mix of rain and snow during the day today. And as for here in the capital, we'll see a little bit of both from lunchtime. And the amount will not be that much, but Korea's easternmost islands of Dokdo and Ulleungdo will see between 1 to 5 centimeters of snowfall today. And today's wet conditions will lead to a drop in temperatures. Daily highs will plunge nearly 7 degrees Celsius lower than yesterday, and lows dropping to below freezing on Thursday. And this afternoon, highs will be 3 to 8 degrees lower than yesterday in most parts. But other than the central western regions, the rest of the country will see a fair amount of sunshine. Morning temperatures will be actually below 0 degrees for the next couple of days, but highs will be hovering around the seasonal average, leading to wide temperature gaps, so let's dress accordingly to avoid catching a cold. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
And that's our time at this hour on Arirang News, but more news lineup coming up at noon Korea time, so do join us again then. Thanks for watching and goodbye.